It's more, but it is a cult. It is a religion.
Yeah.
If you are curious as to why we would characterize it that way or term it that way, we can give you a full um, um, explanation as to why. But I mean, again, touching on Matthew's dirty air comment and about falsification.
Mm.
Hey,
Um,
we're live on my channel again now. I actually loved what you just said. I wish you would repeat it, Jebby Jet,
It was
because I just
it
went
was
live.
just a malaria. It wasn't the other disease. So I don't think
Ah,
you should be
it's
censoring
just
about malaria.
no,
It's not as dangerous as
that's a
the
straw.
other
That's a
disease.
straw man. That's a straw man. You said that at one point people thought it was the air.
Yeah,
Right?
no. I was just responding to Helio saying, "Be careful what we say in the live stream," and I'm like, "Don't worry." It was I was
no.
talking about malaria.
I was actually
Okay, sorry.
What Jebby Jet just said. I would love for him to repeat it since I just went live again. I would love to hear that
I'll try
because
to repeat it. I say that researching flat Earth is very important because it is a matter of the quality of your own life. It is the place where you live. It is truth. Despite if you are already a flat earther or if you are a glober, you need to find out that you are part of a blind faith based religious system, a fanatic system, and you have no idea about it, that it is a religion. You don't know that they are lying to you. And not just politically, but also morally and even on science. They fake science. And yeah, I thought I learned science in school. Like everything I got in school was legit, you know. But I find out that it's fancy stories. And if I try to replicate or practically you make use of them, I can't. I can't build my rocket. I can't go to Mars. I can't go to the moon. You can't as a civilian. You will never be able as a civilian to do such things.
Build a rocket. Just build a rocket, okay?
Hey,
yeah.
I want to hear Matthew's response to what Debbie Jet just said. Matthew, are you still here?
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
I only waited 2 hours. But okay, sure.
2 hours.
I was yeah, it's very hard. But okay, sure. Matthew,
I want to
can you respond to that?
Yeah, just quickly, and then Elijah. I know we were doing.
He said a bunch of things. Which part specifically were you interested in hearing about?
Well, if you didn't hear it, then fuck off. Go ahead, Elijah.
Why? Oh, man.
No. There's a bunch of things he said.
Okay, there was a bunch of things said. Yes.
Yeah.
If this is weird to Elijah or Matthew, you're not even in the discussion. I mean, weird. I mean, it's just really weird to me because we talk about.
I was actually in the middle of a discussion when you wanted Geppy Get to repeat. He said, and I know what Geppy Get said. I'm just waiting for my turn. That's all. Please don't gaslight me.
Okay, my bad. Who wants to speak first? Matthew,
go ahead, Elijah.
Well, Geppy Get basically said that people don't know that they're in a religion Seeing is that most people regard religion as the the post deity of some kind, but it's actually just a system of beliefs that aren't able to be verified. And so he's basically saying most people don't understand that that's what they live in, a belief system in which they could never verify. For instance, the place that they claim they're sending rockets to. Would you like to respond to that?
So I would say that's probably accurate. Most people don't think very deeply about why they believe what they believe. So I'd be okay conceding to that assumption, or I mean that claim.
Okay,
Thank you,
but
Matthew.
what about
It's true on
what
both
about
sides.
the
On
importance?
both sides, which pisses me off. Because flat earthers believe in flat earth too. And that's all. Again, you fall victim to the same scrutiny.
Yeah.
If you don't research, you don't know how to research, then you're going to be left believing what someone else has told you, and that's just not okay.
Well, it has to be okay on some level and some things, because not every person can be an expert in everything. But
Yeah,
you should be able
for a
to.
child in an adult relationship and probably extended family, but there's no necessity for it to extend beyond that. Otherwise, you run the risk of, well, the situation we're all in right now, that humanity has always been in when you look at tyranny and various examples.
Yeah, I think that it's good for people to understand why they believe what they believe, and to think deeply about it. On all levels, with all different systems of knowledge. So I agree that there's a sad lack in that among the general population.
But yeah, what I wanted to mention to you about falsification, I don't know, your example right before you finished, for me, kind of muddied it a little bit, muddied the waters, because actually, um, when it comes to someone making a concrete claim about something in reality, if I go to verify that claim and it is either unverifiable or false, I don't need to replace it for it to be considered false if I have falsified it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I guess maybe I should reword what I say, because I think maybe what I'm really saying is that I prefer replacement to falsification. That's probably more accurate.
That's fine. I get it. I don't like leaving a vacuum in people's minds. I try to edify as best I can, but like, we have to understand that we have a huge responsibility when we're doing this. You know, that's why I choose to be as mindful as I can. I try to meet people where they're at. You know, I'm not in the business of forcing anybody, which is why I normally ask someone why they're here, what exactly they want from me, and I tell them whether or not I can provide that.
Yeah. So with the malaria example, it seems like even though bad air is not the true reason people get malaria, it's still useful in that you should avoid being around people who are sick, avoid mosquito infested, humid air, and so it still can be useful to keep that belief until you have something better to replace it with. Until you have germ theory. So I guess that's why I'm saying I prefer replacement rather than just straight up falsification. I'd want, like you said, I think you said it well.
Germ theory is also well, it's the way that things are interpreted. There's two ways to interpret germ theory. However, people are only taught one. when there's
Sure.
two that are equally valid, there are two equally valid ways to consider it, but you're only taught one, and I don't think that's okay. But I don't want to argue about that.
Yeah, that's a separate question. I was talking historically when germ theory was first invented and replaced bad air
Well,
theory
yeah.
with malaria.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you would have to determine the cause of malaria to say it's not what you previously thought it was. I'm all for that, because correlation can lead to dangerous conclusions, often more than not. I understand that sometimes it's harmless, maybe, but
correlation does not equal causation.
exactly. I can't believe you agree, but I'm glad that you do.
Matthew, your example of malaria is interesting to me because
Did Matthew said that?
False.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
No, it was Pap smear. It was that guy.
Okay.
But malaria is a terrible example. I mean, if the globe is proven to be false and the danger of it removes people from the idea of a creator, which, apparently, even though you claim this, and I highly doubt it, that you believe in a creator, in fact, a supreme God, the danger of it is much greater to have that disinformation in your head. Wouldn't you want to know that is a falsified idea?
Sure. Analogies only work for the first 2 minutes, and then you start making them too much of an analogy, it doesn't work. So, yeah, obviously,
Fair enough. And don't bring up stupid fucking ideas.
Well,
and
no,
seriously, dude, you come in here all the no. You come in here all the time.
You're gonna get muted if you're gonna do that in the live stream. While I'm here, I'm not gonna condone that kind of behavior.
All right, fair enough.
This isn't a place where you just beat up on people. No.
Fair enough, but I also don't want the live stream to be polluted with bad ideas, misinformation, false equivalencies.
Well, then defeat it with a good argumentation method.
All right, fair enough. So I'm gonna back off the swearing and the aggression. So explain to me why you would bring a bad analogy into this picture.
I use the analogy of malaria because I think it's something that everybody agrees on, that bad air doesn't cause malaria, and it's an example of when people's minds were changed about the cause of something. And so I used it as an example of replacement.
But then you went ahead and backed that up with germ theory, which is another bad example. So
sure, yeah,
kind of compounding bad example on top of bad example. And I think you do this intentionally so that in the live stream and in the voice chat, you get these ideas out there that have nothing to do with the actual argument. The fact that the globe model has been falsified, you know that just as well as I do, and yet you begin to propagate these other tiny little lies. Why?
I don't think those are lies. Instead, okay, so let me back up then. If I wanted to give an example of the difference between replacement versus falsification, what example would you use instead of malaria?
Why are you asking me? The globe has been falsified. There is no curvature. It's very simple.
We're talking about a bigger picture.
It doesn't matter. Why do we have to have a replacement? Why are you so insecure about just being able to say, I don't know? So we don't know. Well, let's back that up a little bit more. The globe is alive. We know that. We can measure that there is no curvature. Why do you need the replacement?
So you're talking about some specifics. I was trying to back up and talk about the idea of replacement versus the idea of falsification. And I was trying to use a simple example. And
why do you have to do that, though? That's
why can't we be specific?
You're substituting.
To use examples to talk about things.
Why can't we be specific? You brought the analogy up. You said, okay, so in regards to flat Earth, since I'm on a flat Earth server, why is it that you flat earthers aren't okay with just replacing something with something else? Why have another bad idea to replace an already bad idea?
Can I please venture a guess here?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm not doing very well here.
just from a traditional standpoint, everyone would prefer replacement than falsification. If I was told that that thing I'm looking at is not a square, it's actually something else, I would say, what is it? And then they would say it's a triangle, and I would say, thank you very much. So it's not that you're exhibiting a unique requirement by preferring a replacement to simply falsification. But there are certain instances where falsification doesn't require replacement. And for example, the one that I wanted to bring up was if you found out that your girlfriend or your wife is cheating on you. We would all prefer to find out that our wife's cheating on us by someone bringing my new wife to replace the old one. But unfortunately, life doesn't work that neatly. So sometimes you just have to learn that your wife was cheating on you. And you falsified that she's no longer the person you thought she was. And you don't need a replacement wife to substitute the wife that you've now found to be false or inaccurate. So in certain instances, it's not even logical to assume that a replacement should be provided at the point of falsification. Falsification can be independent of replacement. And then to say, like malaria came from mosquitoes, which were sort of engineered and doctored, as has been demonstrated, and including the patents for malaria. So yes, very false equivalence to talk about some kind of an insect-driven infection.
Actually, the replacement of falsification is the burden of the one who provided this fake story or the fake $100 bill. I gave you Matthew. I gave to Matthew the example of the fake $100 bill, and that $100 bill represents the work of himself, his work.
But if I show that your $100 bill is fake, it doesn't mean I have to replace your $100 bill.
Exactly, yeah. But he has to go back to the one he worked for and paid him that fake $100 bill and tell him, hey, you gave me a fake $100 bill. You don't carry the burden of replacing it.
Yeah, now you got to give him a new one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's a psychosis.
The one who cheated on him. Yeah.
Matthew, did you understand that?
Yeah, I see what you guys are saying.
So
I guess I still have a strong preference. Like you were saying, everybody has a strong preference for.
It's our natural preference.
When people,
It's
that's
attachment.
the thing is that. Well, right. They don't have a choice. That's the whole right. We all know that they don't have a choice. They have to hide from reality and desperately grasp for some sort of cartoon explanation. That's the whole point. That's like, trying to change somebody in the movie thing that's already been poisoned or compromised. It's too late for them. They want a cartoon. They don't want
They've
reality.
already watched the movie.
Yeah, they're already dead. They're literally dead in spirit.
Or it's like someone saying, I don't want to know if my wife's cheating on me. But here's the photos. No, but I don't want to know. Okay, and she was here doing it there with this guy. Oh, I don't want to know. So you already know that she's done this act, but you're choosing not to even acknowledge it, let alone act on it.
Right. I'm sure when detectives in cases don't get what they want, they can just say, well, I want a replacement. Well, that's not how reality works. In big boy world, you can't just have a temper tantrum and say, well, give me a new toy to play with. And that's what's happened to these people. They've been mentally destroyed, so they can't get out of that childlike mentality of believing a lie that they've been brought up in because they don't want to. So they're going to revert to this, psychosis of, well, I need a new cartoon. I need new toys. I need a new doctrine. I need new crayons. I need new television shows. And that's the point. It's too late for them. They're already dead.
Yeah, it's like a police officer going to go pick up the criminal. And then as he's about to arrest the criminal provides an alibi. And then the police officer says, well, you now need to provide the person I need to arrest. Because you've proven that it wasn't you. Now provide who it was. Who is the criminal that I need to arrest? You tell me, criminal. No,
So-
I just proved that I wasn't the criminal. I've proven it was false, and I don't owe anything more than that. That's the simple action you need to do. To prove falsification is independent. The preference part is almost like a child temper tantrum, where if you say you can't have this sweet, well, then which sweet can I have? No, you can't have any sweet. The preference to have another replacement. So if I can't have my dummy, well, then can I have my blanket? It's you need that replacement for comfort. But when you grow up, you realize replacement doesn't always come at the falsification part.
You see, and this is why I
Okay.
get so
I
upset
see.
because, Matthew comes in here all the time and I got to give him props for his tenacity. However, to propagate fantasy when obviously reality debunks everything that he actually believes, and he admits so, that I believe this thing, the real harm is that he propagates this fantasy on people that already believe it or want to believe it. That is the most dangerous idea. So you're going to catch heat from me if you continue to keep these children in the world believing like children in a fantasy that is dangerous for their souls. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would say that instead of being dangerous, I think it's helpful to have people look at different ideas and sort of think about them.
We're not talking about ideas, we're talking about reality. Not ideas, reality. There's a difference.
Yeah, I gotta back him up on this one. It's very hard because you not you, but people come in and they see, oh well, what's that little depiction of the Earth that you have there in your banner? Well, that's just the reification. It's not real, right? We understand that, but when people look at a globe or the TV, they don't understand that that's a reification. So the thing about it is, when we say, okay, well, we measure horizontally for curvature and there is none, and it extends as far out as our optical equipment and the clarity of the air would provide. That's kind of pretty much it, because seeing as that we can't see forever, that's it. And as far as people saying, oh, look at the stars, they're billions of light years away. Yeah, but we're not looking at stars from billions of light years away. What we're supposedly doing is receiving light from stars that have sometimes been dead lifetimes ago. So it's just a lot of things that get mixed up in the mess that is this heliocentric belief. And the bottom line is, if you take away all the things that are told to you when you're told to disregard your senses, then all you're left with is what you can regard with your senses. So do I feel myself move? No. Do I see things in the sky move? Yes. Do I see curvature? No. The if, and but after that is a claim that has to be substantiated by evidence. So if that's not what I have, all I have to go on is my experience. That I have a limit of my view, right? When I move further away from a street lamp and it seems to converge towards the horizon, that's not like it's doing it literally. Same thing as when I'm looking at clouds go off into the distance. I'm not assuming that they're touching the ground at some point in the distance. I know that it's perspective. Anybody who's taken a drawing class knows that. So the problem with the limitations of our perspective far exceed the geometric considerations of a physical globe with the size of 3,959 miles being the radius. Those are just simple statements to make.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe I'm asking a strategy, a separate question than of strategy. Even if I agree with everything you say, wouldn't it make sense for the flat Earth community to spend a little bit of time and energy trying to come up with a replacement? Because it seems like most
No, that's
time and
insanity.
energy-
If only, hold on.
No, I recognize you don't have to.
Aside
I'm
from,
asking
hold
why
on.
No.
So there's a star system. There's the Sky Almanac, as well as there's various almanacs, full of information on stars that you and I will never go to verify to be there overhead, where they claim that they are at those times. But people who navigate put tons of time into mapping out where these stars are overhead at what times, so that we can navigate. I would say that that's a step in the right direction. What's wrong is how people interpret what they have done. That's a bastardization of their purpose. That being the case, when people ask us, well, what are at the extremities? What's beyond the water? What's beyond the... Well, guess what? There are daredevils all over the place, right? People die all the time for the pursuit of knowledge and nature. They do that all the time. No problem with that. The only reason that some of those daredevils can't do that is because there are restrictions from the government, and they are regulated, and they are enforced by the individual's own country. That's the reason that we haven't done more.
Can I just add one thing?
Wait, I really got to get this out, guys. And the problem is that when somebody says something like that, they're already in deception. They're trying to deceive because they're implying that they have a working model, which there's no such thing, first of all. So they're already lying about their own claim. Now, if this was somebody new, it'd be different. But this person has been shown this many times and doesn't even have a model or a single answer of a model to show for. So when somebody asks that, they're already pretending they have that. And that's what's insane about this. Not to mention, we're talking about the fact that that's false idol worship. Models are literally idols. That's the reality. Thanks.
I would like
Good
to
point.
ask Matthew something about his question.
Well, hold
I
on.
just-
Well, let him respond.
Yeah,
Sure, go ahead.
and Roger's there too.
My response is that yes, models aren't reality. I don't worship models. They can be helpful in understanding what's going on. That's all I mean by models, nothing more.
Yeah, like
You do
maps.
worship models.
Maps can be very useful. That's
Yeah,
why there are
maps
thousands.
a great example.
That's why
My
there are
point is-
thousands.
He keeps asking for a model. He's not asking for evidence.
I know, but I'm not
We-
grilling
we have
him
one.
because others are actually listening. So I'm actually speaking to them in periphery. I know how long Matthew's been here.
Right. And, right.
I'd urge you not to be frustrated with him. Just make a point that will edify others.
Okay, here's the point: is
Can
that
I-
Matthew's asking us to do something he's never done. He doesn't have a model, so why doesn't the person asking for one do it themselves? I'm done.
My
Whoa.
only point is mathematically we have geocentrism. And geocentrism, the Ptolemaic version, mathematically is identical that everything above our heads moves around us and that we're centric. And then the heliocentric model places the sun there at the center, and the mathematics works out the same. So this false analogy that we have absolutely nothing supporting the fact that the luminaries move above us, I think, the maths does tend to work out both ways, but I agreed with both Elijah's point and Exo's point. But we do have maths supporting a geocentric model.
This is true. Would you like me to get a few citations on that about math? Basically, what was one of the quotes? I'm gonna kind of summarize it, but you pick the mathematical computations from over the geocentric model, place them on top of the heliocentric model, and they are exactly the same. Exactly the same. There is no physical difference whatsoever.
I agree. Yeah, it's a difference in frame of reference, but the math works the same.
Well, all things done in reality, though, anytime there's a model used for something done in reality, it is a flat Earth model, which is nothing to do with what I believe in, but that's what the military and construction workers and all of engineering has to use in reality. So I guess engineers and people like that would have to explain why they're using flat Earth models. That's the only thing anybody ever uses for reality. Like all maps are also flat. There's no claim for a ball. That's the.
Can I ask him too? Mic check.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna have to leave in a
I hear you getting.
Yeah, Matthew. So when you asked your last question, did you ask it like indirectly asking us what should you be teaching to your students? Was it for this reason?
No, it was more just out of a curiosity of strategy. If you're trying to convince people, it seems like since people prefer replacement, that might be a better strategy than falsification.
Now wait.
Yeah, nobody in their right mind. Nobody, yeah, Dennis. Nobody in their right mind needs a replacement. No.
Yeah, listen. Oh my God. I don't know how many times this has been explained to you, Matthew. We're falsifying the globe Earth, right? You have a model. We don't have a model, right? So this, where should we start? You know, in your opinion.
All right, I know where to start. I know where to start. So, Matthew,
go for it.
In 1916, 1915, Newton's laws were debunked, or at least the law of gravitation was debunked and replaced, right, with Einstein's theory of special relativity.
Right, yeah.
So how comes it's that you don't accept that? It's a replacement. It just doesn't help when you're debating about a force because Einstein's theory on special relativity doesn't have a force. In fact, it also doesn't give a definition for weight either.
Right. No, that's a good example of one theory superseding.
Hold on, Matthew. Since you have, where's the base knowledge?
I did want to hear him. I did want to hear him respond before you ask him a new thing.
My bad. Go ahead.
No, I was saying that's a good example of one theory replacing another theory, or adding on to it.
Are you saying one bad example or good example?
Bad example or good example?
It's an example. Like it's
this is one bad. Elijah pointed out how this is bad example. And he told you why you putting all this.
I think I get what you're saying, Sasha, but he said it's a good example of, because this is his question. Well, why can't? Well, I would much rather replacement after falsification. So I said, okay, well, here's an example. But why? Just let him respond.
No, I already responded that is a good example of an example that's an example of how one theory replaces another one. So Einstein's theories replaced Newton's theories, or at least added on to them.
Definitely replaced. Specifically, the force of gravity and weight has been replaced.
Correct. That's right.
So the one thing that people attribute to why we're standing on this globe that we don't live on is completely false because that idea was replaced.
Yeah, Newton said it was a force, whereas Einstein says no, it's not a force. At best, it could be considered a pseudo-force due to the bending of space-time.
Right.
Okay,
and in those mathematical calculations, but just point out what's wrong with it, guys. In Einstein's math, there is no description of weight, though. So that's also a problem when you say, okay, Well, I stand on a scale and I weigh something. Well, under Newton, you had a pretty good idea. Well, not an idea, but you did have an idea of why that was. But now, technically, under the new math, actually, you're weightless.
You mean the new math 100 years old? Is that the math you're talking about?
Yeah, it is 100 years old.
The math which says that your feet are older than your head.
Was that you, Helio, that said, where do you get your information from? How did you phrase that, Dennis?
I'm not sure. I mean, I just flow. I go with the flow.
I know it was like a broken clock struck 12. I know you were right on the money.
Just hit me. Right,
and then I'll just okay, the point is he can't do it. There's no answer to where they get their information from because then they just revert to
it's like how the fuck yeah, I was hold me back.
He said that it's better way replacing than falsificating. And then Elijah
I gotta say this, guys. Oh, Dennis, listen, real quick. Watch this. That's the point. You guys are replacing it. These are words in order to hide from the point that you're replacing a cartoon with reality. That's the point. Yeah. It is being replaced. Yes. That's the whole point. To stop worrying about cartoons.
Stop pretending. Stop pretending that this.
Dennis, hold on, watch it. There's not one person in their right mind that said, well, there's not a flat earth model, the earth's a ball. That's a psychopath. It's not, there's nothing to do with one flat earther pretends that there's a model. That. And nobody's ever done that.
That's why I said it's madness, to ask me to replace his fake $100 bill.
Exactly.
It's replaced. It's replaced with the truth that, sorry, sir or ma'am, you don't have $100.
I'm sorry, you can't believe what you see in reality.
Right. That's your replacement, sir or ma'am. Have a nice day. Welcome to reality.
Yeah, exactly. Amen. Amen means means stop. Amen means stop.
How do you mean? Go ahead.
Amen. Women.
I think Elijah was hitting on this too, right? I say this all the time. If I replace the model with another model that also doesn't work, then what's the point?
Yeah, obviously there'd be no point. You'd want to replace.
Amen means finished.
So no, we still got a problem here. Wait a minute, Dennis. Okay, we still got a problem here.
The problem is we need to tone down the aggression because the aggression is causing.
I would consider this aggression. Of course, we need to introduce.
Go ahead. To interrupt each other. And if I can't get this under control, seeing as that you were here before me, especially Helio, I'll just leave. And with that, I'll say that, whatever I believe that our behavior should be will walk out the door with me, and I'm sorry for anything you experience thereafter, because that's not what I'm about. And I'm not about to sit here and fight with a grown man.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I'm just saying, hey, to be honest, I'm here 24 hours a day. I listen to things and I point out the discrepancies in this argument very often. And I don't, but I also listen to, what's going on. What have I done so far to actually destroy the argument or put a wrench in the works here? Whereas
you haven't destroyed anything yet, Helio. I'm not saying you've destroyed anything.
No.
I'm just asking you nicely if we could all tone it down so that we're not talking over each other and seeming aggressive to the parents and children of the people who may come across our channel. Your channel, the one that you live stream every day.
Sure, yeah. Sure. Yeah, if I'm causing disruption, yeah, sure.
I usually don't butt into things like this. I'm sorry, but I love you two to death. And I just hope things get resolved, but maybe live stream's not the place to settle this, I guess. Sorry.
I mean,
Don't be sorry. Well said.
no, I'm actually curious about the current discussion. I only interjected because someone was saying whether or not we were making a cogent conversation with whoever was.
So the update, Helioskeptic, is that when somebody asks for your model, they're implying they have one and they don't. We should probably ask them to prove their own point.
Well, models are pseudoscience, so that
correct.
I think that's the point, So anyway,
you even better. Correct. It's insanity.
Yeah, but ordinary people don't know that.
Yeah, I know. That's why we greet it with kid gloves, in a lot of points.
No,
but you get frustrated at a certain point.
Honestly, I kind of like Roger's approach to the question of where's your model, and I've kind of taken like silent note. I like observing Roger because his response is usually like models are a reification fallacy. He doesn't say we don't have a model. He kind of like fires back with models are a reification fallacy, and I really like that. And that's probably going to be the response I use instead of just saying we don't have one, because I think it appears a lot more powerful.
Yeah,
and I rarely apologize, but I do apologize for actually coming in here if I was being too blunt.
Actually, when they ask for a model, we don't have to give them a model. We have to tell them reality.
Okay, get. What are they implying? If somebody's asking you for your model, what is that person implying about themselves?
He's implying he's asking me to replace his fake money.
Right? No. Hold on. Listen. He's implying that he has a model. The problem is that person doesn't. So we're already starting off on the wrong foot. If I even allow them to ask me a stupid question, they're implying they have a model, which they do not. There's no such thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you're going to have a conversation with, I'm jumping back in. If you're going to have a conversation with someone, you're going to have to stand on common ground, right? So
for me, that means a man who has God powers.
It implies worse than that. It either implies that you think you have a working model, and also, without a shadow of a doubt, it already implies that you think models matter. Either way, it's deception. You're trying to hide from what's provable. Models are how to hide from reality. That's the whole problem we got into this in the first place.
Oh, shit. I'm about to say amen again with XO. I agree with you, XO. Yeah. I mean, how can you prove something that doesn't exist? Holy shit.
Well,
models, the dumbest word you could ever speak.
It's like asking, hey, what's the secret code of life?
The secret code of life?
Yeah.
That was a good one, Jumpy Jet.
XO, do you think there's any use for any kind of models?
Well, you did ask XO, but I mean, once you have something figured out, the purpose of a model is to scale it down or scale it up. Yeah, there's a purpose for that, but you can't model something that you haven't experienced.
Building or something.
Well, if you have a buildings, then you can scale it down. Or if you have like certain dimensions and you want to present, something to be built based on, functions that we've already used. We've already built things already. So now you want to put some vista somewhere, something. You're presenting this to a company. This is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But to produce a model and then never experience it, what's the good in that?
Yes, as I've said, all models used in reality are already based on flat Earth, such as like a training simulator, which I personally used, in Fort Knox and Fort Hood. And these things, are computer-generated images to show you a plane of existence. Those models are used for training because it's much cheaper to operate, the computer than it is to take out your M1 Abrams tank that gets one gallon per mile. The problem is when somebody's asking about a model and they're asking you, well, don't you need models for stuff? Well, if you're the one talking about it, show me a model you've used, and I can't get an answer. Where's the claim? Thanks.
Yeah, there is no heliocentric model. You know that, right, Matthew?
I know that is often said in here, and I
can't show it to us.
I don't have a good way of explaining why I disagree with that.
You can't even answer a single question about the model. That's the problem.
Before, let me make a distinction between a globe and the beginning of the universe, or the edge of our universe, all the way to the point of the globe and everything in it. I've never seen that model anywhere ever, not even mathematically.
He can't.
Yeah, I don't think I can answer that.
It's so easy, guys. All you got to do is ask them a question about their model. Real simple, like how high I have to go to see the curve, and you can't get a straight answer from anybody. There is no model. That's the point.
It's all loaded in that word.
They just want a model. Yeah, I'm starting to think they just want a model because they grew up with a model. Like they grew up with a globe, so somehow when you take away the globe, they're like, oh, wait, I can't just let there be a void there. But a model, just like math, can reflect reality. It can also not reflect reality.
Roger, I wanted to say something. Go ahead, Roger.
Good point.
It's just all tied into the word replaced. If replace implies that you had it in the first place, and it needs to now be swapped out. And exactly like Exo is saying, they don't have the single source you can go to test everything heliocentric, because here's the model that we can test everything on. There's always bits and pieces for the sake of whatever's being tested in an individual capacity. But that word replace, like you say, like linking back to Beget's idea of the dollar example. It's like if you're standing there with a fake $100 bill and you say, now replace my $100, you don't have $100. I don't need to replace it because you're holding a fake piece of paper. That fake piece of paper is not $100, so I don't need to replace it.
Okay,
they say if it's false, then replace it. Well, if it's false, then it's useless.
Now, let me get this in. Now imagine this, right? So you find out the dollar bill is fake, and then I replace it with another fake dollar bill. Now, me giving you another fake dollar bill, what good is that going to do you?
Well,
the problem is, again,
the problem is,
we're feeding in,
right?
Right, we're feeding a model. There is none. He sees cartoons on TV. That's not a model. He's seen it on TV. That's not a model either.
That's just
the problem.
Wasted time.
No, I get that point, but the motivation to even ask for it is nonsensical, because they know that we can't know the means of how we could even construct a model.
That's right. That's why they won't show it to us. We're sitting here asking, waiting. We can't even get them to show us the model. How ridiculous.
So instead of replace, we should be asking them to introduce. Please introduce a model, because to replace something, we need to first introduce a model and thereby test that model and therefore falsify or prove it to be similar. But you cannot prove it to be exact because it's a reification, like Elijah said.
Didn't we do the Michelson-Morley experiment and they figured out they couldn't reproduce what's happening in the solar system?
Yeah.
So they need to introduce their model first.
Is that what the Michelson-Morley was, or is it something else?
That's correct. That's correct. For anybody that's crazy enough to make the claim, you think they should be able to produce it? Yes, that would be their burden. Correct, Roger. That's the point I was.
Yeah. Was God rocking?
It's insane that when I had conversations about this in 2015 with, people that were skeptics, not a single one of them said model. Not a single person. until months later when atheists started promoting this idea, because atheists need cartoons, and now it is showing us who really are the believers and who are the atheists.
You see, the reason why they ask for replacement of the model is because that fake $100 bill represents the work time, the work he put in from his lifetime. You know, and you are telling him it's fake. No.
But it's absurd, because if you've gone to university, then you're aware that there's more than 100 theoretical physics models. I didn't know that because I've never been to university, so I don't understand this cling onto. I don't get it. Like Pat, Pat, you say that we should have one model, but they don't have one model. What's up with that?
I know, and you were citing.
Yeah, we're gonna go. Oh, get listen, let them talk. We're gonna go in circles.
Yeah,
Watch.
go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
I'd be happy with at least one model that the majority of you agree upon.
You don't have any. You don't have any for your globe. That's the point. He won't listen.
Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so I mean,
yeah, let's say we have 100 models, right? I don't know how true that is. I'm going to take your.
You have zero. You can't even name one. That's the point. Everybody here agrees. None of you guys agree. Everybody here agrees it's flat. None of you guys can tell us when we can see the curve start. Not a single one of you. You can't tell us anything about it. You don't even have a claim.
Yeah, there's the WGS 85 model.
I'm going to take your word for it.
There's the perfect globe model. There's the what's the other one? The one with no water, just the earth and the gravity. There's so many different globular,
MSU model,
theoretical models. There's so many different ones of those. That's not that you don't have just one globe. Look at it, it's a globe. No, you got multiple of those just on its face.
I mean, I didn't say we had just one, but there is one that the majority of us agree upon.
What is that?
Present it.
You can't even show it to us.
Can you post it? Can you post it in the live stream so we can go check this model?
Right?
Yeah, show me where your model show. Yeah, show me where the model.
Introduce
it. I just.
It doesn't matter what
show us the model. You can't do it. Yeah, you can't do it. Exactly. Yep. I didn't. My claim was that you don't have a claim. Isn't that nice?
How old are you?
Who is this new guy?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not. You don't get to ask my favorite color or how old I am. Go ahead.
All right, I'm just gonna mute you then.
Oh, here we go again. So now he's gonna mute me right now. He's gonna do this because he's lying to everybody and he got caught. So now he's gonna mute me.
Server mute me because of it. Whatever.
Yeah. So he's now muted me because he got caught in another lie. See.
Pep, we're not going to mute anybody in this VC, right? This is being live streamed, and that wouldn't work because that would create more chaos.
Talk at the same time as him.
Pep, so we're not going to mute anybody. Okay, is that understood?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Awesome stuff. Continue.
All I'm asking
there's
is
no claim. Yep.
Just one model. Just show one model that the majority of you.
Yes, you don't have any. You're not showing us. That's the point. You're claiming model, but you're not showing us. So he muted me, and that's why he can't. Yeah, he muted me, and that's why this is going to continue this way because I'm muted. So he can't show us a model. He just continues to say the same thing over and over again.
Exo?
Yeah,
he's unmuted.
So he can't show us.
He's unmuted.
He did. Guys, there's a middle ground here. There's a middle ground. He said he would present it, but we wouldn't like it. Well, we don't have feelings towards
poor
this
baby
belief. So if you can just present it, that'd be fine.
Sure, go ahead, present it then. A working model of the world.
Yeah, how high above the model do we have to go to start to see Earth curvature? You'll never get an answer.
No, it really comes down to them believing that it's possible that the Earth is big enough that the Earth looks flat, even though it's not. I've been debating, not debating. There's no debate here. I'm telling these people in the YouTube chat that there's where do you experience the Earth as a globe? And they're just believers. They're believers in globe Earth. They don't have guts enough, and guts is enough. If you could come in here and tell us where you saw the curvature of the Earth. I mean, where does this exist? Earth as a globe. Show us. We've been sitting around here for 4 years, 5 years. Show us the Earth as a globe, please.
Well,
this place wouldn't exist. Go ahead. Sorry, Elijah. Go ahead, brother.
No, it's fine. I interrupted him. If you want to finish, please.
No, I was done with my rant. I was chatting with people on YouTube. But yeah, go ahead, Elijah. You're probably going to say the same thing I was.
Well, basically, it's not only do you don't have left to right curvature, you don't have horizontal curvature, and you don't have horizontal. Well, you don't have vertical drop, as depicted in simulations of a sphere with a radius of 3,959 miles. So when I say that, we don't talk about this a lot, but there are a lot of simulators that you can use to try and simulate how much drop there would be as you rise up above the surface if you're to consider a sphere of the size that they claim. But when we send balloons up, we don't see this difference in vertical drop. It's barely different, if anything. But mathematically, it's nowhere near where it's supposed to be.
Hey, do you guys want to hear something from the YouTube chat from Syzygy? Who's often in the YouTube chat. There are many reasons I know Earth is a globe, from 2 celestial poles to sunsets to everything in my email. I don't know what that means. Helios kept. He's emailed me before. I also think it is possible that a sphere looks flat because it's huge. Thanks, Syzygy, for your brilliant. Yeah, if you go,
Did I just hear that he knows Earth is flat from his emails?
No, he's emailed me before. Here's what he said. There are many reasons I know the Earth is a globe, from 2 celestial poles to sunsets to everything in my email. He's responding
in my emails.
He's talking about, we correspond. We've corresponded before. And then I also think it is possible that a sphere looks flat because it's huge. You guys want to respond to Syzygy? Tell him.
Yeah, so ask him, does that mean that when an airplane is flying away from me and it goes out of sight, does that mean that the airplane is setting and that proves that the Earth is a ball somehow?
Crickets.
I mean, this is kind of shit I have to deal with in the YouTube chat, but anyway.
Is the YouTube chat that active? I usually don't look at it.
Yeah, none of you guys do, but I have to deal with that shit all day long. So anyway.
I do too, Helio, but I just kind of let them go because you can't really talk to those guys.
Yeah, well, even if I put wrenches on people and then I have to deal with drama with the wrenches everywhere. That's why I just no wrenches.
No, I wasn't saying that. It's just, you can't say anything. When you say something, they'll just attack you, and then you can't say anything more. I mean,
I just let it flow.
What can you say?
Let it flow. Let yourself go. Slow
That's
and
exactly
low.
Why
that is the tempo.
YouTube chat is kind of off.
Oh, but it's still great.
I mean, they are too scared to come in here. I mean, it is a live chat in here. We're talking in here, and they're too scared to come in here to say what they say.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, get your ass in here. That's why I call them out, when I can. Get your ass in here. If you got so much to say in the YouTube chat, get your fucking ass in here. It's a free open chat. Come on
They're
in
afraid.
here. The
They're
link's
afraid you're
right
going to
there.
bite them through the wire.
What wire? If they rip
bite them through the microphone.
we have a conviction, right? If they have a conviction and they're serious about it, why can't they come in here and defend their conviction?
The balls.
Yeah, grow some balls. God damn it!
Defend the balls.
Those aren't even balls.
They have one ball.
You have to muster up the courage to talk to someone on the internet, not face to face or anything. Oh wow, how courageous!
Heroic
Alice,
ball.
can I ask a question real quick?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you said I was going to ask a question. You're going to have to go ahead and say it.
Yeah. So.
Oh,
I don't bounce in here unless I get in the spot. Anyway.
Oh, he's roboting.
Hello?
You're roboting, bro.
You lost me?
Fix your mind. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear
No,
me
it's
now?
all good.
All right.
Yeah,
So, a celestial pole, is that a reification fallacy?
Celestial
Yes.
pole.
Yeah. Essentially, it is. Yes.
Right.
Dude, you're roboting hard, man. I really want to hear what you have to say, but you're roboting, man.
Please, yes. When you leave and come back, it kind of helps.
Hit Control R on your Discord if you can hear me.
Control R. What the hell?
Yeah, it resets it so you don't have to close it.
It's refresh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, refresh. Is that a Apple thing?
No, it's
No,
just a Discord shortcut to
Windows
reset the.
command.
Yeah. Because the opening task
Better
manager is
now?
kind of annoying.
Yeah, I want to hear about this celestial pole thing.
All I wanted to ask is, isn't there a bunch of other explanations as to why we would have? Well, we know we have one pole star, but the southern one.
Sure, there are many explanations about this, but you're
Hold
still
on,
roboting. He's still roboting.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yes,
I
sir.
know.
There are many explanations about this, but I want to hear this guy's idea. But he can't explain it because he's roboting.
Well,
Try to turn on the mobile data.
I don't know why a lot of flat earthers don't seem to know this, but you can see the two concentric star trails from the same point on Earth, proving that we're not moving.
Yeah.
You can't have concentric star trails two at the same time, converging and diverging if you're moving 1 centimeter a year. You can't do it.
Yeah. In the meantime, I mean, some idiots will come in here and say, "Why do stars move in a different direction in the northern hemisphere as they do in the southern hemisphere?" Are you fucking serious? If you look south, if you look north, they're going from right to left. If you look south, they're going from left to right. Well, they're not moving different directions, you know. Oh, no, it's north, right to left, south, left to right. You're just looking in a different direction. It's not.
Yeah, the problem is that's because they're not going off of any actual observation. They're just reading, things online and watching debunking videos.
Exactly. That's why I was curious about what he was going to say about the polls. Anyway.
Well, he asked if it was a reification fallacy. I don't think he was. I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to go through the whole thing. Unfortunately, he was roboting and he can't get his mic back. Okay, maybe he can. Who was it that was bringing that up?
He might be driving in a bad spot.
Yeah.
spot.
But anyway, in the future, if anyone says, "Hey, the stars are moving in a certain direction," when you're looking at the North Star, and if you're looking at this, the South Pole, if you think the stars are moving in a different direction, you're just not getting it. The stars and sun, moon, and stars move in the same direction to everyone on Earth. That's just it's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Some things will never change.
Do left and right switch.
But don't you believe it?
Does the left become right when you look towards north or south?
Well, it certainly does. Yeah, if you're facing south, if you're facing north, right is left. Right to left, and then you face south, and then it's left to right. I mean, it's very simple.
Yeah.
Mic check.
I hear you.
Better or no?
You're better now.
I just was out there. It's so crazy.
All right. So the reason I say
who's hot mic? Somebody's got. My bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, I heard some. Go ahead.
Yeah, there was some background stuff, but it's gone now. Go ahead.
I'm not talking about the direction of rotation of the stars. So just based on the sextant alone, we basically can see that the stars themselves are at an equal altitude, correct?
Oh, altitude. All right. So based on the sextant alone, now the sextant only exists with a human using it as an instrument.
No.
Correct. But the use of it is based on the stars being at an equal altitude. Am I right or wrong about that? Where's Elijah?
You don't want to talk to me about it? I actually I've been studying the sextant for the past 48 hours. I've looked up a lot of information. So you don't want to talk to me about the sextant. You want to talk to
I will talk to you all day, Helio. Come on, man.
Yeah, so what?
Either Elijah, go ahead.
That's why I think that as above, so below. That's why I think that the sky is a plane too. What's the problem?
Sure, right. So if they're going to use this idea of the celestial poles, to me, that is a reification fallacy, because their model, the lack thereof, assumes that these are much different distances, and they can't be if the sextant works. So there's another explanation as to why there may be, let's even though there is really no southern pole star, they could point to a couple of stars down there that seem to be polar, right? But if they're all the same altitude, then that argument holds no water as well. Thoughts?
No, it holds water because water is level.
Helio, he's not arguing with. I know he's not arguing. Because of the trigonometric function.
Yep.
We can only assume that because it works. I know that they usually say, well, we use the globe model, and it works, but that's actually untrue because they've straight up hijacked selective navigation the way it's actually used anyway to say that there's the celestial sphere and all of this. So the actual assumption is on our end. However, when we navigate vast distances, just happens to put us exactly where we need to go. But we have yet to go to the sky and see the limitation of it. I think that's might even be possible, which is why they immediately put a lock on it.
Exactly.
People think, well, there's less air, so you can't travel up there because people would die and blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? Drones can do amazing things.
Hey, every time you move toward the horizon, there's a new horizon. So there you go. I mean, how can you, and the more I study the sextant, it's just like, hey, how can people actually study this text and think it shows the globe? It's freaking crazy.
So I don't know shit about the sextant, but if what you're saying is correct, that it's assuming that they're the same distance, like on a plane, then this BMLS.
That's just angle. It's angles.
Hold on. This BMLSB 69 video that I just posted about parallax and motion, some of you may have seen it, but this also demonstrates that same thing. Like with parallax, just like they tell you, something that's farther away will appear to move much slower than something that's closer, right? Well, all of the stars move together at the same speed, never lapping one another, which means they're the same distance away.
Yeah, but you physically on Earth can never catch up with the stars, but you can actually move toward.
That's a logical assumption.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a question.
Well, it's an important question, in my opinion. You know, if you're trying to, like, these globers are trying to say, well, the sextant proves a globe. It actually proves that the Earth cannot be a globe.
Well, I would just like to contend that sextant tends to read the stars in what they call the celestial sphere. That there are certain stars measured at about 5,600 kilometers or miles.
Exactly.
I'm not sure which one. And some are at 3,000 or 4,000. Now, that could be optical. But they do sometimes vary slightly, but yet they do still seem to rotate at the same. I guess there's not sufficient distance between them for enough parallax, but it does map out to be almost like a dome. But when you look at individual stars, it does seem to map it quite flat.
Yeah, the celestial sphere. I mean, like, I will say, Jeranism, your own. Shit, I can't remember the words that he used. Your atmospheric dome or whatever. And I've said this since I found out about flat Earth. It's like you can only see so far. Now, as far as the stars, sun and moon, I don't know what distance they are, but when I look across Earth, I can only see so far. Whether I'm standing on a beach or I'm standing on top of a mountain, I can only see so far. That's the limit of my distance. I can look straight above my head, and where determining distance to a celestial body, quote unquote. I mean, how can I tell that distance?
Well, going along with what Lou was saying and Roger and Elijah, it was called the celestial orbit, which meant to wheel. So orbit's one of those words that we actually get to keep because orbit actually means a two-dimensional circuit. So yeah, the stars in the sky move like wheels. They don't move like a sphere. So yeah, the celestial sphere term is incorrect. And I haven't found it in a dictionary 80 years ago. And they were already trying to swap everything over to this dome thing, which is their claim. They claimed a sphere above us, and that's not what it is. They're two-dimensional.
Don't start singing "The Wheel in the Sky Keeps on Turning," Helio. I know you're about to.
Don't do it.
Sky keeps on turning. I'm just fucking with you. I wasn't even thinking about it until you said it. Go ahead.
I'm done.
Solar, I'm curious, how do they substantiate those distances to the stars?
Oh, well,
they lie.
Ask them. I mean, shit.
Irrelevant.
That's
it's sort of irrelevant, but yeah, I mean, it's relevant because if you want to know how they claim to have determined those distances, you should know that, and most of us do. And that's why we discount it as something that's relevant to this conversation, because They don't
But
really
Dennis-
have any evidence that the sun is 93 million miles
But
away.
it's not about
Dennis.
So
The problem.
can flat
Go ahead,
earther can flat Earth solar explain?
Yeah, it's a basic trigonometry function. Basically, you're trying to measure the hypotenuse. So you calculate the angle to the star, and you have your 90 degree above your GP, and then you work out the hypotenuse, and that would give you a distance to what you believe you're looking at.
That's not how they came up. That's not how they came up with the distance to the sun. Or
No, we're not talking about the heliocentric model. Somebody asked. Solar said there are about 5,000, some 3,000. Somebody asked, how can you explain this? Right.
So based on the angle, yeah. So if it's a more acute angle, it's going to appear. I don't know which way. And then if it's a more obtuse, more 90 degree, I think then it was closer. The straight up was like 3,000, and then off to the sides was like 5. And then that's what gave it this domed impression. But once again, you're using mathematics. You're looking at something through the atmosphere, which could be refracted. And we're presuming that it's actually a physical thing that we're actually physically seeing, like it's a no atmo day. So we take things as concrete. We take things as concrete when we want them to work that way. And then on other days when we understand refraction occurs, we see vastly different results, but we never seem to factor that into nighttime viewing.
So what? Good night. Let me just make sure I'm clarifying. So the GP of that particular star, even though it's overhead at that particular GP, the angle to it is more acute, or you have to use the second to aim at it.
And then finally,
my bad.
At a different angle, which would be different than, let's say, a star that's adjacent to it. Correct? Is that what you're saying?
Sorry, that was a bit broken up for me. I didn't quite get what you were asking.
So the angle to one star that's over a GP is more acute than, let's say, another star that is adjacent to it or nearby it, which is why they make the measurement farther, right? Does that make sense? Or am I breaking up again?
So your geographical position of that star is the place directly below the star.
Correct.
That just gives you your 90 degree, but that's not where your observer is placed. So
right.
The observer
but it doesn't, though. It doesn't give you 90 degree.
The GP does. But from an observer, okay, I'll post something in live stream.
I'm posting this. I posted something that I was watching, and this is, from a navigator or whatever, supposed navigator, and what he's saying about this is, that's close, flutter, so, to... No, that's not the same thing.
So the observer and any observer around the location of that star is on that little circle, and they call that the, I don't know, Helio, correct me, what's it, the plane of equal altitude? Or
well, I mean, go ahead.
Can I ask this a different way? Okay, so let's say you're using a particular star over a GP, and you don't want to use that one. You use a different one, but it's nearby, right? Let's say. So another GP.
How can a star be nearby?
So each star would have its own unique GP. And then from you as the observer, you would then have a unique angle to that star. So even if it was nearby, it may vary by a couple of degrees up or down.
And ultimately, it means in relation to the horizon, right? So you're assuming that it's at a certain position above the horizon, which is 90 degrees, right? And that's where you get your triangulation.
And then for you, you're seeing that star at 50 degrees, like, for example, in the picture I posted. And then you've got the known distance between where the GP is and where your location is. So you've got the base length, you've got the angle, you can start to work out the hypotenuse. And thereby you can determine what the height of the star to the horizon would be, or the height of the star above its 90-degree GP.
I have a question. Like, it's relevant, but not relevant at the same time.
Hold on. Let's finish.
Okay,
let's finish this with who's the other guy that we're talking to? Solar.
It was Shinji, but I'll wait. I'm sorry.
No, sure. I mean, I think this is pertinent because when you're trying to, using a sextant, I mean, since we're on that, because I've been on it for a couple of days, and so determining distance, I mean, if you're going to determine the distance in a triangle, I mean, to determine the hypotenuse or the A or B, A squared plus B squared equals C squared, you're going to have to know two distances to determine the other distance. So where is what you're looking at now? As far as sailing, using a sextant, they weren't necessarily. If you're sailing,
no,
you're
but
not
that's why the
necessarily
angle,
concerned about the angle.
That's
actually
why the
helps
angle
you.
Gives you everything.
Yeah.
So if you're just doing simple geometry, then you need to know two sides of the triangle to calculate the third side of the triangle. But if you're given one length and an angle, and it's 90 degrees, or in fact, you've actually got two angles. So the 90 degrees at the GP, that your observer has got a 50 degree. You can calculate, because a triangle always sums to 180 degrees. You can calculate what the third angle is, thereby calculating what your hypotenuse is. So it's all got to do with the angles that's why the GP is so important to have it at the 90, because then you've got your second angle.
And it's the difference between when you're sailing during the daytime, you use the sun. You're sailing at night, you use the stars.
But the big crux of this thing is, if you look at the picture that I posted, the GP to the observer in this example would be 900 miles. And it's 900 miles to the left and 900 miles to the right.
Ooh, that's a big freaking circle, isn't it?
Creating 1,800 miles of equal altitude to the star.
1,800 miles of flatness.
Perfect flatness for you to maintain that 90 degree at the center, and for the observer to maintain a 50 degree around the entire circumference perimeter of that angle, that 50 degrees to the star. And certain instances, or certain of the stars, are sometimes thousands of miles to the GP.
Yeah, and Flutter Solar, we get people saying, well, look to the stars to show you it's a globe. Well, holy shit. If you use a sextant, you look to the stars to show it's flat.
GP stands for geographic position.
Yep.
Someone was asking in the chat.
Yeah, sorry, California. I was just trying to be funny.
So I'm still just kind of catching up to this entire sextant argument, which I get the basic concept of it for sure. I guess
the information is really easy to find. Yeah, look it up, bro.
What threw me for a loop was that you mentioned that they are at different altitudes measurably by the angle. So I was just curious about that. But would you say that there is a range that they tend to fall between? Like you said, 3,000 to 5,000?
Well, and that's where the GP comes in, the geographical position. It depends on which star you're looking at and where you are on Earth.
Right. So let's say that you're aiming at one particular star at a particular time. I know that has everything to do with it as well. And it's 90 degrees straight above a particular GP. Now, let's say that there's another star in that
If
region.
it's 90 degrees above your head, yeah, of course. And then you point it at another star.
Yeah, and remember, you're always measuring the height of the star above its GP.
Right, right.
So it's that perpendicular line that's at the 90 degree to the horizontal. That last upright line, that's what you're measuring as your distance to the star.
Correct. All I'm asking is that to be accurate, you actually do have to know essentially the heights of those particular stars above those specific GPs. Correct?
Well, it depends on where the star. What are you trying to navigate by? Because at a certain position, the stars become obscured. The nearer the horizon they become, because you wouldn't in your right mind navigate by like obscured stars or anything. You want to pick the best one that you're gonna know. I know this star is in this direction, and this is my heading, and you'll have a compass as well. To use your with your sextant.
But so to your question of that, knowing the height of something. If you knew the height of something, you could thereby calculate your distance to the object by using the angle of the object or the angular resolution. So you have to know one of the lengths to calculate the other. So when you have a known distance to the GP, you can calculate the height. And if you knew the height of that star, you could then calculate your distance to the GP. But we're going the other way, knowing our distance to the GP first, with the intention of trying to calculate the height of that object.
Yeah, but you would be able to. Come on, Solar. I mean, you wouldn't be able to calculate the height of the, this star above Earth.
You do.
Through trying. No, I mean, tell me how. Tell me how.
So we the maths doesn't prove reality. And that's the part that I kind of, in the beginning, it blew my mind. If you do plane triangulation, trigonometrical triangulation of the sun, so you find where the sun's going to be at its zenith, and you calculate the angles and everything, you generally came to a figure somewhere between 3,000 and 3,400 miles away.
With the sun,
which is about 5 kilometers. But once again, you're using an assumption that there is a physical object and that zero refraction's occurring, and that there's just assumption after assumption after assumption, and then the maths works out.
Well, I mean,
in the beginning. In a perfect
test, if you were going to measure the distances to the sun, you would actually, minimize refraction. It'd be like a high noon, right? Or, just like, be like the zenith of the sun, right? It'd be above your head, right? Just like freaking Aristophanes, right? It's like, well, there's no shadow at the bottom of the well, and then my buddy over there has some shadows, and I'm going to measure the angle, and this is the circumference of the Earth if the Earth is a globe, all that kind of shit, right?
You need that straight line, so sextants only work.
But it's still assuming that something is like a tangible, physical something that we can actually measure a distance to. The maths works out neatly. But what is a star? Is it something manifesting in our atmosphere? Is it something on the dome? Is it what is it? Is it something being projected in? I don't
know. You're gonna have to ask the creator. Don't ask us.
So then later on, when I started to realize that these things they tend not to be such physical things. What we've now determined is the height of the apparent location. That is where it appears to be, according to our mathematics. But yet, we'll still argue this and take this to the bank. And, that height is just where it appears to be based on this little scenario we set up with this distance to the GP and this angle.
Wait. On that point, Flat Earth Solar, are you claiming that you can actually calculate the distance from the surface of Earth to a star? You're saying
correct.
Through triangulation, you can say this star is this height above Earth.
Yeah, look, no offense, Solar, but this really does sound an awful like the same bullshit all the Globers throw at us all the time. Like,
this is why I say it's so. It like the maths doesn't prove anything, so you can't like hold the piece of paper.
No. I'm asking you directly. Do you think you can determine the height of a star above Earth through triangulation? I'm asking you that directly. It seems like that's where you're going.
The maths works out. And it's the same as
Dude, I'm asking you directly. Say yes or no.
I'm saying yes, the math works out. Can you not hear me?
Well, then you're full of shit.
Calm down.
No, it's that's why they say yeah, so that's why they say the sun is 3,000 miles, right? I mean, if you know the distance, you can calculate the height. That's just how it works, but that's not meaning it is the height, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is that the maths works out this way. The moment you use the transform equation, including the radius curvature of the Earth between the two locations, so you assume that the GP and the observer has this giant curve according to a 3959 radius, it then pulls those triangulations very broad, and you effectively have to add almost 75 degrees onto your measurement, especially at long distance. And then those lines almost become parallel, which place the sun out at 93 million miles and other stars at far greater distances. And then they say there's not sufficient distance on the Earth to cover the triangulation. So then they use the assumed distance to another planet. And then they use that as the base of their triangle to try and triangulate further out into the galaxy. So on the mathematics, this is how they work their bullshit. And like I said, I'm not saying that I'm holding this up as truth, Helio. I'm saying this is just simply how
they
we
say
have been presented that the mathematics can be used
we've been
to
presented
determine
with
a
this
height.
bullshit. Listen,
and then
so
I specified that it is the height to an apparent location.
So let me ask you this: Do you think that the sun is 3,000 miles above Earth, circling above the?
Yeah,
just
Helio,
answered you.
It's nobody knows, right? It's only when you grab a calculator then you can do this shit, right? Nobody knows.
I mean, it's like he just went through just this weird. He's getting,
and he was right, Helio. He was right? So with triangulation, you could, right? But nobody knows.
If the Earth was this and that,
Nobody knows, and that's what he said, right? They pull this shit with the heliocentric model, assuming curvature, assuming orbits, yada yada yada. But when you use a sextant, you need the 90 degrees, right? So you have circles of equal.
You know what's really
circles
cool
of
about
equal
this
distance.
You know
for
what's really
hundreds of
cool
miles.
What's really cool that I've discovered about the sextant? When you put the sextant up to your eye, there's a big curve at the bottom of it, and it measures the angle based on the flat horizon that you're observing. So you measure the angle based on Now, it's curved because the sky moves over the distance, but the Earth is flat. You can't use a sextant on a globe. It's impossible. Do you think you could design a sextant to work on a globe? I just think that's impossible. Every time I look into the sextant, it's just impossible that a sextant could actually work on a globe.
This is not going to be a very popular opinion, but even using the sextant in an argument against the Globers is helping them beg the question. Because,
sure. Yeah, but yeah, go ahead.
The only reason why is because, in my opinion, is because they say, "Look, sky stuff, so Earth globe."
Well,
we can't be helping them do that, right?
Well, we don't help them.
No,
no. You know what I mean? We can't do the same thing. We can't turn around and do the same thing.
Well, I mean, you look through the scope, and you have a measurement at the bottom. It's like you're looking at the horizon. The sky changes, and this is what you measure. You're looking at the flat horizon.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, Hilo. I'm just saying, just look at it. They say sky stuff, so globe. We're like, you can't point to the sky to determine what you're standing on. And then we'd go and do the same thing and say, look at sextant, sky stuff. So that proves what we're standing on, you know?
I guess. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Okay,
That's why
I'll just a second. I'll disagree with you on this. Their correlation is because wandering star round, Earth round. We're saying sextant works because it has to be flat.
Right. No, and I agree, and I'm not saying it's a bad argument. I want people to be recognizing that's what's. I guess maybe we could say here. Check this out. We could say, hey, Globers, this is what we're doing. We're gonna join you on this beg the question journey and prove that even in us pointing to the sky, we can still say that the sky equals the ground being flat. Because look, sextant.
Yeah, it's not about the sky. It's about the fact you need a flat line, right? A straight line to the GP of the star. That is needed to calculate your position. So it's not about the sky. It's about that straight line to the GP of the star.
It's the 90 degree. So
right.
I agree. The corner pocket. I agree.
So if you go back to the observer is seeing that 50 degree. He's looking up at the sky. And if you were the observer and you're just seeing 50 degree and making an assumption, you would be like the baller. But we're taking the focus back to the corner pocket, the 90 degree. We're saying right there in the corner is this GP, which has to sit on a horizontal and a perpendicular at 90. And that distance between the GP and you is the only focal point. That distance of flat horizontal to keep that 90 degree to the GP. So we're keeping it on the Earth directly under the GP. The sextant as a tool, yes, then you are back at the observer and you're starting to talk about angles and looking up at the sky and what you think that proves. But
Amen,
go back
brother.
to the GP.
Yeah, amen. And I've been through a lot of these discussions when it comes to gyroscope as well. Gyroscope can't work on a globe either, so it's very similar. These are instruments that are designed for triangulation. You don't use. Show me an instrument that is designed on Earth for a globe. There's no such instrument. We all experience the Earth as a level stationary plane. Why would you design a globe instrument?
But Helio, why were you objecting to the fact that triangulation is to plot a distance?
Well, and there are several instruments that can be used.
But like cellular triangulation, they find a specific location and the distance to that location
I actually,
through triangulation.
To be honest, using what's the name of this instrument? like using an instrument to find where a star is and whether it's 90 degrees to the horizontal, and then you can determine the height of it and you move toward it. I mean, this is what does that actually prove? That's not the way that this instrument kind of out of the game right now.
Yeah, but maybe chill a bit out, Helio.
I will. I'm dogging out.
Cool, man. So, Shinji, your question was? You remember your question?
Yes. Like, I was asking myself, like, the North Star, right? Like, if you're, like, directly on the North Pole, would it be, like, straight above you? Or how would that work?
That is the GP of the North Star. But it's provably, that's where I would actually like some proper evidence to show someone showing a 90 degree to the North Star.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
And if it wasn't, then that
Hey,
would
has,
mean...
has anyone ever been at the North Star and used a sextant? I said I was dogging out, but this is kind of bullshit. We're all just speculating. As long as we're in speculation, I guess. Let's just freaking roll it out.
Yeah, the sextant is okay to use it for navigating the world, but not to measure distance to the stars, because you have two sides of the triangles which are not known.
Yeah, the answer is no. Nobody uses a sextant from the north or any. And to be honest, nobody navigates with a sextant now. It's all GPS, whatever. It's been many, many hundreds of years since people use sextants to navigate. This is.
I'm not.
Actually.
Yeah, this stuff. Yeah, this stuff is still being used, right? If you're.
Well, sure. I mean, people are sailors. It was like, use a sextant.
Mm-hmm.
Happy sailors use sextants.
And the sextant works because, in both cases, like Elijah said, he goes more with the flat sky plane, and it would work even if it's a dome.
Is the sextant used in land navigation or just on water?
It works both ways because you don't draw a line in the sky. You only choose a point. Mic check.
I hear you.
Thank you. Yeah, so we only choose one point in the sky, a reference, which is usually a star. But we have no distance to that star, and the distance to the star is actually irrelevant. what we need is ground distance, because or distance between objects on the sea, so you can do rough estimates about where you are and how much time and which direction you need to sail.
I could play the new song from Kai. I'll do that.
Sure. Go ahead.
Oh.